this September. Bad blood will be settled.
This is more than personal.
The long-awaited trilogy.
There's real bad blood here.
Canelo versus Triple G. September 17th, live on DAZN pay-per-view. Visit DAZN.com.
Hi guys, this is Melissa Zad for Into Boxing, and I am so delighted to be joined by Ellis Zorro. Ellis, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. Just weighed in, so yeah, I'm ready to get it cracking tomorrow.
Obviously, you know, this the whole vibe of this fight week has been a little bit different because of obviously the death of the Queen last week. Were you at any point worried that it wouldn't go ahead?
A little bit when I saw Boxer and Sky cancel their show, but then I read something somewhere that said it's up to the promoter's discretion if they want to cancel or not. So yeah, I was kind of confident that it wouldn't get cancelled.
That's really handy, actually. I think the timing of it worked out all right, you know, for it being like the weekend after. Cracking card tomorrow night, of which you're a part of. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your boxing journey? Obviously, this is a massive platform, but you've really kind of paved your way.
Yeah, so I had 3 amateur fights. I started boxing at 21 years old in 2014. 3 amateur fights, then I turned pro. I had 9 fights with Steve Goodwin. And I wasn't really taken that serious by Steve Goodwin, if I'm honest. All small shows, which was fine, but I had more. He wasn't really pushing me. You understand? I had more potential, but I was just falling under the radar for whatever reason. Moved around in terms of coaches a lot. I didn't get a lot of coaches that wanted to work with me really until I met Mickey Burke over in Bexley. I had 5 fights with Mickey. But then it came a time when my contract ended with Goodwin, I had to find a new manager. So I went over to Martin Bowers, and it made sense to train with Martin. And it's a better, you know, clique or group to be with Denzel and Louis and Chris and all the boys. Had a fight on BT Sport, but I wasn't signed to Frank. That was my 10th fight. I got a 2nd round stoppage. So I was still I was doing okay, my record-wise, but like financially I weren't really getting any, you understand? I was still kind of a small hall fighter, but just hoping for opportunity to come up. Then I had another fight, my 11th fight in Essex on the TM14 show, who looks after me, but it's another small hall show. And then the opportunity for the Boxer series came up. I entered that as 11-0, won all the 3 fights, won the 40 grand cash prize. And since then, the response from promoters and people has been a lot different. So I take it with a pinch of salt because I've been on the other side. You understand what I'm saying to you? I've been on the side where there's no attention and there's no help and whatnot. So, but yeah, now I'm here. And since I won that, I'm getting pushed straight onto like a co-main event on a big card. You'll call. I've got 8-rounder against Dex Spellman, which is not going to be an easy fight. It's going to be a tough fight. He's obviously more experienced than me, quite seasoned, but obviously hasn't done anything at this weight. He's done a lot at light heavyweight. We know he fought Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yard, Shakan, Pitters. So yeah, I think it'll be a tough fight. I think he'll put it on me at first and see what I'm about, but I'm confident I'll pull through.
Do you know what? I have so much to unpick from what you just said. So you only had 3 amateur fights, really?
Yeah, so I turned pro late, man. I actually turned pro at Brunel University. No, I started boxing late. What am I saying? I turned pro in 2017. But yeah, I think when I started boxing, the amateur thing split up. Do you know? It was like the Alliance and the ABA. So like, it was hard to find bouts. Like I could get matched with someone in Manchester or in Birmingham, and I was in Peckham at the time. So it just wasn't ideal. And at the time, I was training in Miguel's alongside Chris Congo, John Harding Jr., as at Chamberlain, Richard Riakpo, and they was all pros, and they were better than me, but the gap wasn't massive, you understand? And I thought, if they're like 3-0, 4-0, I can surely turn pro if I dedicate myself, and that's what I've done. And I've seen a lot of people fall off the sport, or a lot of people that I've overtaken in terms of my ability just by staying consistent, you understand? So I had 3 amateur fights, I won them all, 2 stoppages. But when I turned pro, I was using my first 9 fights as experience, and my training camps as experience.
So really like learning on the job, actually. But it's a really interesting one because, you know, a lot of people in professional boxing, obviously, they don't, not to say that they look down on people who don't have amateur pedigree, but there is a slight elitist attitude where they feel that people with amateur pedigree will naturally fare better. But actually what you've proven in your professional career is that your trajectory has just been on the up, right? And then to win the Boxer tournament and have so many eyes on you, I'm sure it feels really amazing to be here now on this big platform under Frank Warren, co-main event. Where do you see yourself at, next year?
Oh, that's a good question. I try to like to do one fight at a time, keep my feet on the ground. So I want to come through the experiment, but you know what I've learned with this boxing thing, especially the way that I've been doing it, things can change like that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, win, lose or draw, like doors open all the time. So I could get a British or I could go the international route. There's a lot of stuff going on in my weight class, the cruiserweight division over at Sky and Boxer. I'm the only cruiserweight in the Queensbury stable who's had more than 5 fights, I think. So I'd like to kind of mix it with them guys, the Chris William Smiths, and they're all good fighters. But yeah, it's I don't want to limit myself, but I'd like to get a title now. I'm 14-0 now. I know I've won the Boxer Series, but I'd like to get. I think I've missed the Southern area by now by having 14 fights, but I'd like to get the British or some form of internet or the English. Yeah, I'm open to everything. Yeah.
It's a really interesting thing that you've just said, because I recently made a comment in one of my interviews that Ben Shalom is trying to collect all the cruiserweights in this country because they have a huge cruiserweight stable. So yeah, very surprising that you're not part of that. However, we recently saw Isaac Chamberlain against Chris Burnham Smith. Obviously, it was like a 12-round war. What did you make of that fight? Where do you see yourself up against those lads?
Yeah, good fight. Good friend of mine, Isaac. I feel like he fought a little bit of the wrong fight at times. I think he could have outboxed Chris a lot easier. But this is the thing, professional boxing, people want to see more action, and I'm confident if Isaac was on his back foot boxing, keeping it long for 6-7 rounds, he would have won that fight quite easily, in my opinion. He's the better boxer. Them boys just have more experience, skill for skill. If you know what you're looking at, no one is really that far apart.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm being really honest, no one is really that far apart. We're all skillful fighters, all can punch, all got good defense. I think I'm up there, but again, talk is cheap. I haven't even done a 10-rounder yet, you understand? And they just headlined a 12-rounder. So it's hard for me to say, oh, I would do this, I would do that, because I've seen fighters do that before and it goes left sometimes. So but yeah, I believe in myself, you understand? I believe in my skills.
It's very important to keep that belief, obviously. Just an observation from me, in terms of what you said about skill for skill, you guys are not that far apart within the division. Mm-hmm. Is that something to do with your weight class, where it's like, because you guys are all heavy punchers and you've kind of not started at the same time, but kind of been on that journey, growing together domestically? Yeah. Do you think there's something in that?
It could be. I've had 14 fights. I don't know how many fights Chris has had.
Like 16 or something.
This is what I was going to say. It's not a lot. Like Mikael Lawal, he's around the same kind of level, 15-0. Dion Juma, I know he's only lost one, but again, another good fighter, good amateur background. Chris, good amateur background. Vidal Riley, good fighter, very good fighter. Underrated Vidal Riley, I would say. So yeah, everyone's kind of at the same level, but guys have just got different. Like Vidal Riley, he's another one. He just hasn't had the experience of fighting 12 rounds. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But skill for skill, he stands with anybody. I think the only person who's really set apart has got to be Lawrence Okoli, because he's, fought for world titles. He's won. You understand? So he's kind of set himself apart. Richard is going that way, but really skill for skill. Like I said, I think anyone could be matched with anyone. To be honest with you.
Very, very exciting times for the cruiserweight division. So just before I let you go, because I've held you here for a long time, sorry about that. A few questions. Obviously, we just saw Anthony Joshua lose to Usyk in the rematch. We then heard rumours of Tyson Fury putting the fight out there and Anthony Joshua and his team accepting that fight. Questionable decision in a lot of people's perspective. What are your thoughts on that sort of heavyweight landscape?
I feel like AJ going into the Tyson Fury fight, if he accepted it, which he has, shows a lot about his character and his desire. But I feel like Eddie Hearn said, he's got a really good resume. He's fought a lot of top fighters, back to back. He's just come off 2 losses, massive fights. I feel like he deserves a little bit of a rest, or he deserves a little bit, not an easy touch, but a tune-up. Yeah, because you've been working with this new team. Let him get comfortable with these new coaches and whatnot, instead of going into another massive fight against an undefeated guy who's in his prime. But, that's his hunger and his drive and his decision, so can't knock it. He's going to make good money, look after himself and his family. So, Usyk.
Predictions of Usyk and Tyson Fury?
I think Tyson Fury is just too big. Usyk's a very clever boxer, but it's not like Fury can't box, so it might not be an entertaining fight, but I would say Fury would get hold of him and Fury would win, yeah.
So obviously we've got Canelo, Triple G, the trilogy fight taking place this weekend. A lot of people have counted Gennady Golovkin out because, you know, he's much older. He's kind of been on the decline. But, you know, Canelo's coming off his first loss. Arguably, you know, it wasn't light heavy, but it's still a first loss. We haven't seen how he'll respond to that. What are your thoughts around it?
I feel like Triple G, just going back a little bit, Triple G, I think he won the first fight. Then in the second fight, you could kind of see... You disagree? I think Triple G won the first one. In the second fight, I think it was clear that Canelo won. And since then, Canelo's had the better resume, better opposition. He's looked better. I know he's lost, but he has looked better. I don't really know why they're doing the third fight, if I'm honest. You just lost to Bivol at light heavyweight. Yeah, obviously money, but you just lost to Bivol at light heavyweight. Are you light heavy? Are you middle? Are you super middle? You understand? Do what you want to do, but I don't really know, other than money, like, why they're doing that fight. Like, you should, if you want to, you know, take the rematch of Bivol, then build up to do that. You know, have a tune-up at light heavyweight, you understand? But, yeah, I don't really know. It would be good for the fans, but...
Are you looking forward to it?
Not necessarily, to be honest. I would like to see the Bivol fight, or I'd like to see him, you know, cement himself at light heavyweight. Maybe Bivol could fight Buatsi or someone like that, you understand? Or Yard or whatever, yeah.
So, last thing from me. If you had a message for Dex Spellman ahead of your fight tomorrow night, what would that message be, Ellis?
Thanks for taking the fight, and good luck. I'll see you tomorrow.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Cheers.